week. At least it is for me. It's Monday. It's the 28th of April, 2025. I found another interesting reading. This one goes back to the August, let me see, when is August 2024 edition, but it actually originally comes from the, let me see, from the April 2020 edition. It's by Rev Sally Robbins. I like it for a couple of reasons. One, it's a reminder to myself about, oh, you'll see. And the second is, it's got a story, not a long story, but it does have a story, a little tiny story. I love stories. So here we go. Beginner's mind. To know is to be ignorant. To not know is the beginning of wisdom. And that was Jiddu Krishnamurti, who was a great Indian philosopher of the 20th century. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook says, should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should not yet receive only that which we are ready to understand. Page 44. In other words, approach life with an open mind. And John Randolph Price, he was actually a well-known figure in the New Thought movement, also in the 20th century. I think he was from Texas. Actually, I think he came from the Texas Hill Country, if my memory serves me correctly. Anyway, he relates, in quotes, a spiritual philosophy for the new world, unquote, how a woman at one of his retreats asked him for advice about a challenge she faced. When he told her his answer, she replied, I already know that. Price writes, the truth is, if she really knew that, the challenge wouldn't have entered her mind in the first place. He added, maybe it's time to bring some humility into our lives and admit that we do not have all the answers. And maybe it's time to start practicing the truth we so eagerly share with others, so that we can be the teachers of wisdom we were sent to be. In other words, practice what you preach. For a minister, that's not always easy. And this is Rev Sally Robbins again. She says, I vividly remember a time in my 20s when I thought I knew it all. Right? I think my teens, I thought I knew it all. Not about you. Oh, the stupidity of youth. I had yet to learn that I had barely scratched the surface of the knowledge life has to offer. Today, decades later, I continue to marvel at how much I continue to learn. One of the hallmarks of spiritual maturity is the wisdom to be a lifelong learner. The Buddhists call it Shoshin, which translates as beginner's mind. Whether we're learning a new language or we've been studying spiritual concepts for years, we keep our minds open and free of preconceived ideas. Well, I love this quote, and I've heard it so many times, but it's really a great quote. Shunryu Suzuki wrote, quote, in the beginner's mind, there are few possibilities. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Unquote. As I said, that was Reverend Sally Robbins. I like this reading because it reminds us, first of all, don't get too big for our britches. Admit that we don't know stuff. That has been hard for me in good parts of my life. Hopefully, I'm more open to admitting I don't know something now. But when I was younger, especially when I was in my late teens, I didn't want to admit I didn't know anything. And I would often pretend I knew something, which is not always a brilliant idea. But I think as I've grown older in life, I've learned that we don't know everything. And it's okay to admit it. And it's also one of the reasons why I teach classes, why I take classes, because I want to continue learning. Whether I'm teaching a class or I'm attending a class, I'm learning. Or hopefully I am learning. And when I do classes, even when I repeat them again, what I try to do is do some more research and seek other ways of expressing things and look to see if the knowledge I've is right or wrong. And that's why in classes, I teach world religions at least twice a year. And I'll often ask students to come up and speak to the class if I know they, or I think they know something more about a subject than I do. Because honestly, I'm always ready to learn. And because I think learning is so, I don't know, it's such a great thing. When you learn new knowledge, it just does something to your brain and it really helps. And then being humble enough to admit that you don't know everything is also pretty good. Nobody likes, oh, it's, almost nobody likes somebody who thinks they know it all. In fact, there's that expression, right? A know it all. So I think this is a great lesson for all of us. As I said, my readings don't go on for very long. I've been doing them for a long time. So I'd like to keep the message short if I can. So what did I learn from this? Continue learning. Be humble enough to admit you don't know something. And sometimes when you really think you knew something extremely well, and then it gets pointed out to you that you're wrong, admit you're wrong. And that was really hard for me for a good part of my life, to admit I was wrong. So anyway, I think it's pretty good reading, don't you? The affirmation: I practice the concept of beginner's mind, opening my mind to new revelations. I practice the concept of beginner's mind, opening my mind to new revelations. Rev Sally Robbins, originally from way back in 2020. Hard to believe April 2020 was 5 years ago, but there you are. There it is. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, hope. Oh, let me see. I will either be early or I'll be late because I have to be at a business meeting at about 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. So I'm going to be early, going to be late tomorrow. And just a quick reminder, today is the 20th day of April 2025. It's a Monday, at least in this part of the world. Where I was born, it's still Monday, but only just. Where I live a part of my life, yeah, it's still just about Monday. So anyway, please take care of yourselves. I read another article today and I was thinking of reading that one, but I chose this one instead because the message resonated more with me. And well, you notice when a minister says they're done, they're usually not done. They carry on. The other one had an element in it that I know my colleague, Reverend Lisa, always stresses, and that's self-care. And it really is important. So please remember, self-care is not selfish. Self-care is the exact opposite, because when you take care of yourself, then you have the strength and the ability to look after others. So until next time, take care and namaste.